Um, so this is going to be kind of a strange video because I don't really have a Bible lesson planned, but I'd still like to begin with prayer. Um, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the power and the glory forever. Lord, I pray that you give me the words to say and that you use this message to encourage and build someone up. Amen. Um, so this video is a little weird because it's my testimony, and I've never really considered that I had a good testimony because usually when I hear the word testimony, I think, well, this is how I came to Christ. This is how God reached out to me. And I never really felt like I had one of those because I was raised in a Christian home and felt like I always knew God, or at least knew of God. But I recently went on a mission trip and started to think about sharing more testimonies and realized I do have quite a few actually stories throughout my life about what God's doing. But currently the one that feels biggest involves a struggle that I'm going through medically. Um, at the end of last school year, I got a doctor's appointment because I'd had some side effects of COVID that were still there a year after COVID. And it took a while to get a doctor's appointment. And the doctor called for some blood work and found that my prolactin levels were excessively high. From there, I had to do an MRI, and we discovered I have a pituitary tumor. And every time I tell people that, I have to initially say, it's not cancer, because I say tumor, and I immediately think, it's cancer! But it's not, so I got lucky on that. But that was kind of hard to figure out, and I didn't really know how to feel about that. They also said from the size and from the fact that this particular tumor type is slow growing, it might have been there my entire high school year for all we knew, which explained a lot of other issues I've been having emotionally and getting headaches at weird times. And so it solved a lot of problems, but it felt like it still opened up a lot more issues. And when I first heard about it, I didn't really want to tell anyone. And I could give multiple excuses for that. It's always been kind of hard for me to share my story with others or to share I'm hurting because for multiple reasons, I have a fear of people thinking I'm being self-centered or just trying to get attention if I talk about myself. Particularly because a lot of people I'm friends with, I know are already going through a lot, so I don't want to burden any of my friends or family members with what I'm going through. It doesn't feel fair. And another thing is, I've never really felt that highly of myself. So my issues never felt as important. And I do have good friends. So I did start to reach out, but it was really slowly. And the first people I reached out to, I had to do it all online because my closest friends were in another state, in another country on mission trip, and also having medical issues that left her at home. So the first people I told were all online, and that's kind of a hard thing to say through text if a phone doesn't pick up, or even a phone call is to say, I have a tumor. And so that was really hard. One of my friends, the one on a mission trip in another country, was especially encouraging. First thing she said was if it was cancer, she was going to drop her trip and come home. Which really meant a lot to me because I wasn't expecting a reaction like that. But then she painted this beautiful word picture for me about just envisioning me on a beach and God in the water saying, "Come out to me," and that the waves would be hard, but I'd grow closer to Him. And that imagery actually hit me really hard because whenever I need a quiet space, for some reason I always picture myself sitting on a beach, usually later out in the evening when it's cool, next to a palm tree with God right next to me, staring out at the water. And so it was just powerful to me that the first thing that came to her mind was at a beach, except in the water. So I told a couple other leaders and people it felt important, but not a lot. I joke with my sister and my mother that they told more people than me, though honestly that is true. For the first couple months, they did tell more people than me. I feel like I mainly tried to ignore it or push it to the back of my mind, which is what I do with a lot of issues. Just try not to think about it. Then it came about time for me to need a second MRI. I'd been put on a medication that was supposed to shrink it, and they wanted to check that if it shrunk. And right before I go into the MRI, I realize I forgot to pray with my parents. And I don't know why we forgot. I feel like it'd been an emotional car ride up there, but we forgot to pray. And so as I'm getting into the MRI machine, I'm realizing I did not pray beforehand. And they let me pick a radio station to listen to because it's really loud in there. And the first time that starts playing on the radio station, because I picked a Christian one, was God Only Knows. I believe that's by King and Country. And the first line it says was, "God only knows what you're going through." And I know there's specific context in the song that they meant, but when I heard that, the first thing I thought was, because I didn't tell anyone else. I didn't ask for help. I didn't ask for anyone to pray for me. So after that, I tried to tell a couple more people, but I was still scared. I tried to tell groups, and I realized that there was two ways I primarily tried to do it. I either tried to do it in a very real way and ended up crying, or I said it really, really quickly and hoped they wouldn't catch it all in order to not cry. Which is kind of funny. And so that's primarily what I'm going through with my life. And we went to get a second opinion because most of the side effects I knew were emotional. And the first woman we went to was more medically concerned and didn't think it would affect me all emotionally. Which could just be she didn't want to overpromise. She was still a really good doctor. But we drove about 2 hours to get a second opinion, me, my mom, and dad. And this lady immediately addressed concerns because I had had difficulties with anxiety and depression. I'd been on medication for both. And because of that, it was not a good idea for me to be on the medication I was to shrink the tumor, because that could elevate those symptoms, which was actually something I was a little bit worried when I went on the medication in the first place. So she suggested a surgery, which is now what I get to look forward to on August 6th. Couple cool facts about the surgery. They have to remove go through my nose, remove a bone, and then remove the tumor. And when I hear that, I go, why the heck are you removing a bone? Do I need that bone?
It's not a very important bone.
It's probably not a very...
Well, okay, it is an important bone, but it's not, like, the most important bone. So, fun fact, her camera lady is a nursing student right now, so I kind of know what's going on.
I have to regrow the bone. That was my only point.
Yeah, the bone regrows.
I'd probably find that more cool if I wasn't the one regrowing that bone.
On your pituitary, there's a little bone that your pituitary sits on, so that's the bone they're taking out.
Yep, they're taking out that thing. You know that scene in Harry Potter after he breaks his arm in a Quidditch match and has...
Oh, and the Scarecrow?
That scene's been in my mind so vividly.
I mean, I figured you were going to start quoting Hermione and how she's telling Ron how to pronounce Wingardium Leviosa, so I'll take that.
It's not Leviosa, it's Leviosa.
It's Leviosa.
Whatever. I'll have to start laughing or else I'm going to start crying again. It took me a while to figure out exactly what to say, and I'll probably be sharing more of this later, but earlier this morning I was just, why am I sharing this? And just the words popped in my head. Maybe it's not me sharing what's happening to me, it's what can God do through me and for me. And I might not fully realize what all or why God is allowing this to happen, but I know He's got me, and I'm going to be okay. And for all I know, He's going to use it to bring me and a lot of my friends and family a lot closer. I live relatively close to Disney, so our passes just expired. But the last day, my parents took me to Disney because when Mom has bad news or knows something rough's going on, she also goes for the distraction. So she took me to Disney, and I asked her to get one of the I'm celebrating buttons, and I had them write on it, God's got me. So I have this button that is now on the floor. Yep, that thing. I don't know why Disney hasn't changed that pattern in years. Apparently Goofy's the only one who can celebrate. Told you I'd make this funnier, I'd start crying, but right now I'm celebrating because God's got me. And clearly I'm still crying because I was crying half this video. But that's what I'm going through. And that's my testimony right now. So as I said, I'll probably be sharing a little bit more of this closer to August. And thanks for listening, and please keep me in your prayers.